it's Dave at No Recipe Required, and tonight is meatball night. But not just any meatballs. What I'm going to do is actually show you how to do kind of a mini meatball, which is really nothing more than a small meatball. Now the reason I love them, I've got 3 kids that absolutely go nuts over like these kind of bite-sized food or kid-sized food, and they love them. And then you know, even for the adults, they make great kind of appetizers for party. You can make a big pot of them, throw them in a little bit of tomato sauce, and let people just go ahead and toothpick them right into their mouth. They're absolutely awesome, really easy to make. Let's go ahead and get started. Okay, let's go ahead and start with our mini meatballs. These guys are Italian meatballs. Toss them. You can toss them with spaghetti. You can toss them, or don't toss them with anything. Just have them on their own. I'm going to start mine with an onion. This is a really large onion, diced up. A little bit of olive oil in the pan. I've also got a couple garlic cloves in there. And then I'm also going to add a shredded carrot that I like to put in a lot of my meatballs. You know, meatballs are one of those recipes that you can really be pretty fast and loose with the ingredients. I like the flavor that the onion, garlic, and carrot give, but I like to cook them down as well. And so I'm just going to let these kind of saute over medium-high heat for probably 10 minutes until everything is kind of softened and broken down. A little bit of salt, a little bit of pepper, and that's about it. Once these are done, we're going to add them to our meat, add our other ingredients, and make our meatballs. Okay, so my little mini Italian meatballs, we're going to make them out of beef and pork, half and half. I got about a pound of each. I'm going to add some breadcrumbs. I'm going to add 3 eggs. Breadcrumbs was maybe half a cup. I'm going to add 3 eggs. I'm going to add kind of a half a cup, maybe a third of a cup of Parmesan cheese. And then I'm going to add our onion and carrot that we cooked off and then let cool down a little bit. Don't have to be totally cool, they can still be warm, but you don't want them super hot or they may kind of cook the eggs. And then we're going to add in a good amount of salt because we have a whole lot of meat on there to season, as well as a good bunch of squeezes or grinds of fresh ground black pepper, which I think I'm going to have to get some more for. And then we're just going to mix these together. Or mix everything together. Best way to do it, I think, is hands. So get in there, and then once everything is together, what I want you to do is just form a little tiny meatball, cook it off, give it a taste, and that's going to tell you if you got the right amount of seasoning in there. If it tastes good, you're good to go. If it's a little flat, you may want to add a little bit more salt, a little bit more pepper. If it's not tender enough, try a little bit more breadcrumb. Once I get this mixed, we'll come back and form our meatballs. Okay, so once you've got your meatloaf mixed and you've made your little taster and you've reseasoned, if you need to reseason, time to roll our little mini meatballs. Now there's kind of 2 ways to do it. You can do what I just did. Take a little piece of meat. I like to get about the size of a ping pong ball. Roll them out like that, or if you wanted to, you can kind of assembly line it and just take the kind of the unshaped meat, crank them out. Refine this is a little faster. Throw them down on a little board and then come back and shape them later. I move a little bit quicker when I do it that way, but it doesn't really matter. Once we get them formed, we're going to come back and saute them off on top of the stove before we poach them in a delicious tomato sauce. Okay, so once you got your meatballs rolled, you want to sear them off in a pan on the stove, just to get the outside kind of nicely browned, and then we're actually going to poach them in a basic tomato sauce to finish cooking them. Here we just really want to get kind of the outsides cooked off. You want to make sure you have a single layer, good kind of medium high heat pan, a little bit of olive oil in the bottom. You don't want to get it too crowded. I'm just going to let these go for, it's probably going to take 5 minutes. I'm not going to jostle the pan. Not really going to flip around for at least 3 of those minutes because I want to get that nice brown crust on the underside. Then we'll flip it over, do the other side. Okay, when the meatballs are time to turn them over, the bottom is going to look like that, nicely browned. You want to just kind of flip them all over, get the other side done. May help. You can get a few of them done just by rolling the pan. Those that don't turn over, just flip over. Then set them aside, work through the whole batch, and then we're going to drop them into our sauce. Okay, so once our meatballs are nice and brown, you got the batches done, we're going to kill the heat, set those aside for a second, and then slide over our tomato sauce. Now, this is just my basic tomato sauce. You can use your own recipe, use any recipe you want. You can even use canned if you really want to. My recipe's on my website, on my YouTube channel. And what we're going to do is just stuff those meatballs, leave the oil, any drippings that came off, right into the sauce. And you don't want to, do a couple things. One, you just want to kind of lay them in there. You don't want to stir a whole lot because that will break up the meatballs. And you don't really want to boil the sauce away for hours either. This is just going to be kind of a slow poach, light simmer. And the meatballs are not fully cooked, but they're probably 60% of the way there. So you really just need to go for about 15-20 minutes, and then we'll be good to go. Okay, after about 15-20 minutes on a low simmer, your meatballs are going to be cooked through. Your sauce is going to be flavored with that meatball. Going to be absolutely perfect. Let's kill the heat. And obviously, you can toss these meatballs with a little bit of spaghetti for spaghetti and meatballs. But there's absolutely no reason why you can't just serve them on their own. Stacked up, they make kind of a great appetizer, or like a party food as well. Maybe get a little bit of height to them. Make sure you get some sauce in there, and then garnish it with a little bit of freshly grated Parmesan cheese, and you got a great little appetizer. I'll see you next time on No Recipe Required.